Hey everybody, DeNicola here. Got a little bit of a different video for you this time. Since I first started posting these guitar videos, people have been asking me, hey man, how do you get your guitar sound? What kind of stuff do you use? What kind of amps, what kind of mics, what kind of pedals? So I'm going to do a little breakdown for you of the rig that I use. And specifically the rig that I use for a live show with the New York Blues Department. That is NYBD. You can check out that amazing band that I am in at www.nybd.info. And I'm going to give you the details of the rig that I use live with that band and some of my theories on getting a guitar sound and the equipment that I use and the equipment that I do not use. So let's break this down for you. Okay, the first thing I want to point out here is very important things that I took into consideration when I designed this rig is obviously I want it to sound good, I want it to be efficient, I want it to be easy to work with, and I want it to set up very quickly. In the situations that we're playing in now, we usually get about an hour time slot, so every minute you spend setting up is one less minute that you get to play. So because I want to spend more time playing than setting up, I wanted to design something that would set up very quickly without a lot of fuss, a lot of different things to connect and wires running everywhere and presets to deal with. I didn't want to have to worry about any of that. This rig that I've designed, it takes me about 5 minutes to haul it in, get it on the stage, and set it up. Maybe a little more if I'm using the cabinets. I usually use these PV cabinets, but if we're playing in a venue that has some nice house cabinets and they sound good, I'll use those and save myself the hassle. But it is very efficient, and it is generally wireless. All the connections and everything, they go off to the side of the stage. I'll show you that in a minute. My guitar is wireless. There is nothing for me to trip over. Well, there is now because I have these two mics on the amps that I'm using to get the sound. But usually I have absolutely nothing to trip over. I can move freely and I don't have to worry about it. So it's efficient, sets up quickly, and it sounds great, which I'll demonstrate in a minute. Okay, another thing I want to point out is that all of my equipment here, I've got some pedals and I got some amps, but none of them are digital processors. I have a great disdain for digital processing, especially when getting the raw sound of the guitar. To me, it just sounds like a computer, and I don't want to hear a computer when I play. I want to hear a guitar. I have a digital delay pedal. Most of this other stuff is analog. These are solid-state amps, but because of the way they're designed, they really, really sound like tube amps. And they're very nice. The type of amps that I prefer are generally PV and Soldano. I don't have a Soldano, but I will hopefully be getting one in the future. And another amp that I really like is the Mesa Lone Star. It is the only amp that has ever given me a clean channel that I really like. I have not liked clean channels on amps for the entire time that I've been playing guitar. Maybe when I was just starting out. To me, I always get my clean sound by just rolling back the volume on the guitar on the distorted channel and playing very lightly. But the Mesa Lone Star seems to be the exception to the rule. Hopefully I'll be adding one of those to the mix in the future. Okay, the specifics of what I'm using here. I've got, like I said, 2 PV cabinets and 2 PV Trans-Tube Supreme 100 heads. 100 watt heads, like I said, solid state, but they do an amazing job at tube emulation. Very tubey sounding amps, more so than any other solid state amps that I've played. I usually prefer tube amps that aren't oversaturated with distortion, like some Mesa amps. I think they just have way too much gain, and they sound great for certain people, but not for me. These amps, they get a really nice tubey sound. Even with all that gain, I get a really nice hot sound that cuts through the noise on stage. They're not as loud as I usually run them now because I'm outside. Don't want to disturb the whole neighborhood. These are very, very loud amps. What can I say? They just sound great. Okay, the next thing in the mix here is the pedal board. You can see that in the second camera angle I have here. This is an SKB Stage 5 pedal board. When I first started out, I just had this big slab of wood with some Velcro on it that I Velcroed a lot of these pedals to, but it didn't really work out too well, and I had a lot of wires running back and forth. So I found this, and this is really the key component to, like I said, efficiency, because all the connections are here, everything is powered, there are no batteries, all powered through the board itself, and the board even has adjustable voltage to simulate like a weak battery signal or something like that. It's got a built-in cable tester, which is a really handy, nice feature, and 2 separate patch bays. And that was really the selling point on this for me. It says loop A and loop B, which makes sense because I'm using 2 amps, an AB rig. Now you can see the specific pedals I have here. I've got, well, I'll go this way. I have the Boss NS2 noise suppressor, which is very important. It's an active noise suppressor. It's got a loop on it. What it does is it listens to the noise from the pedals. So even if I do this, I'm going to turn on everything that I have in the chain here, and even the wah pedal, and you see that there's no noise. Now, if I turn off the noise suppressor, I got a little bit of bleed in there, a little bit of noise on it. Not as much as some. I'm not using any distortion boxes. Not a fan of distortion boxes. But basically what it's doing is it listens for the signal from the guitar and the signal from the pedals. So if there's signal coming from the pedals but not from the guitar, it shuts the gate. But as soon as I play, even if I play lightly, it opens up and you hear it. That's the first thing in the chain. Well, actually the first thing in the chain is the chromatic tuner. Obviously very important when you're playing live. Got to stay in tune. And it acts as a kill switch. So if I want to switch guitars, I just step on it. No sound. So it won't make noise while I'm switching guitars. There we go. Now, the effects in the chain, this is very important. I wanted to keep the chain minimal because when you have a lot of pedals between your guitar and the amp, there's a lot of, it can cause interference, you can lose sound quality, and I want to keep it simple. And I said before, I don't use distortion boxes. I've never really, when I was just starting out, I liked distortion boxes. As soon as I got this trans tube head, my main one I've been using for more than 10 years, I haven't used a distortion box since because to me just nothing sounds as good as amp gain. But I'll go through the pedals I do use here. First, obviously, I have a Dunlop Crybaby wah pedal. This one is the Jimi Hendrix version. I might be going back to the original, but my original is damaged. It needs to be fixed. I can't live without a wah pedal, and I can't live without my MXR Phase 90. Now you might notice that if you can see, the knob is missing. It broke off when it was in my bag, when I used to carry my stuff, you know, just pedal by pedal. It broke off, but it broke off in the exact same place that I keep it set all the time anyway. So, you know, blessing in disguise. Next, I just got through saying that I don't like distortion pedals. Well, to me, the Tube Screamer, and Ibanez Tube Screamer, is not a distortion pedal. It's more of a gain pedal. It doesn't change the sound of the guitar at all, really. It just gives you more of it. And my guitar playing friend Christian first introduced me to the Tube Screamer, and it just sounded so great. I just put it right in my rig. This is a TS9, and it has the John Grimsley mod in it that I did myself. But I am shooting for a Keeley Tube Screamer, a TS808. I think that's the best sounding Tube Screamer with the Keeley mod, but I have not been able to buy one yet. And I use this for certain things. I'll get to that. Next is this DOD stereo flanger. It's an old one that I had, got it a long time ago, and I needed a flange effect on a couple of songs, so I threw that in there. Now that goes into this Morley AB pedal. And you can't really see the lights on it right now because of the sun, but there's a little light that tells me which chain I'm going through here, A and B. And I use that to switch between the 2 amps. So now what happens here is that signal goes, sends it from amp to amp. Now I have the 2 loops on each amp. Each loop has a delay and a chorus pedal in it. I didn't want to put those in the chain because if you've heard a delay directly in the chain, it just sounds bad. And of course you can put in the chain, honestly I'd like to have the flanger and the loops too, but that's a few too many pedals I think for this stage of the game. So each amp has its own separate delay and its own separate chorus, which is also handy for some switching that I do. Like if I want to go from a heavy rock sound to a nice clean sound with a little bit of chorus on it, I only have to step on the switch because I'll have the chorus running from the beginning of the song. And that's a really handy thing. Those are the pedals that I use.